Welcome to Soothe Quiet Sleep. I'm so glad you are here. Before we begin our tonight's story, find a comfortable position. Let your body settle into the surface beneath you. Your shoulders can soften now. Your hands can rest. If your eyes are not already closed, allow them to close gently. Take a slow breath in through your nose and breathe out through your mouth. One more time. Breathe in and breathe out. Tonight, we step quietly into a scholar residence in Chang'an, where winter snow falls without wind on grey tile rooftop, and a single oil lamp glows warm in a study at the hour when the world gates have closed for the night. The curfew drums of Chang'an have already sounded. Two long rolls of sound, carrying across the 100 words of the capital, as they do each evening. As reliable as the turning of seasons, telling the people of the city that the gates are now sealed. The lanes belong tonight to the cold, to the dark, and to the snow. The snow began sometime in the late afternoon, while the scholar was still at his post in the ministry building, drawing careful entries in an administrative register by the light of a high bronze lamp. He did not see the first flakes arrive. He only noticed, when he stepped into the stone corridor at the close of the working day, that the courtyard stones were already pale and unmarked. The way stones look when the snow has been falling for exactly long enough to cover everything without anyone having observed it happening. He walked home through the ward lanes, his breath rising ahead of him in small pale clouds, his boots leaving careful prints in the new snow. The ward gate came closed behind him quietly, wood settling against wood, and Chang'an fell into its nightly silence. A million people, tucked behind walls of grey brick and tile rooftop, and paper windows glowing softly with their evening lamps. The scholar is one of them. And tonight, the snow is still falling, quietly, without wind. Each flake finding its way straight down through the cold dark to rest on the grey ceramic tiles above. No sound at all, only the faintest sense of arrival. The courtyard receive him without ceremony. A stone pathway, thinly white now, softening the sound of his footsteps to something barely there. Along the east wall, the plum tree stands in its particular way, bare and grey dark against the pale sky, each branch holding a careful line of snow along its upper edge. The scholar pauses at the covered corridor and turns back to look at the courtyard once more. The plum tree, the white pale sweep of the stone path, the lanterns in their horn and paper shades, flames steady and amber behind the thin wild membranes. Snow settling quietly on the grey ceramic roof tiles above. He watches for a long moment, then turns and steps into the corridor. He slides the study door open. The room greets him with warmth, the remnant warmth of the afternoon's charcoal resting in the small iron brazier, and with the familiar smell of the study. Old paper, aged cypress wood, the faint mineral note of an inkstone used daily for many years, and the thin thread of incense drifting from the ancestor niche on the east wall. He removes his outer robe and hangs it on the wooden stand beside the door. He opens the small iron cover of the brazier and adds 2 pieces of charcoal from the wicker basket nearby. Tucking them carefully into place with the iron tongs, the embers take the new wood quietly, a low tick, and settle. He lights the oil lamp on the writing table. The flame rises, slowly at first, finding the wick's full length, and then steadies. Amber light spreads across the low cypress writing desk, across its worn and faintly fragrant surface, across the objects placed on it, with the care of long habit. The inkstone in its rectangular resting place, the water dropper in the shape of a small ceramic fish, the brush rest with 2 wolf hair brushes set carefully across it, the small stack of smooth mulberry paper on the left side. The amber oil lamp glow settles across all of it, evenly and warmly. He settles onto the cushion mat before the table. The night has arrived. Outside, snow falls onto the grey ceramic roof tiles. Its sound too faint to hear. There is nothing now that needs doing except this. He begins with the ink. This is always how the evening begins, when the evening belongs to the brush. From the lower shelf, he draws out the water dropper, the small ceramic fish, pale celadon, its back fitted with a tiny stopper. He removes the stopper and tips the vessel carefully over the grinding surface of the inkstone. 3 drops of water, no more. He watches them land and spread slowly across the gray-green Juan stone, a stone quarried from the far south of the empire, prized for the fineness of its grain, and settle into the shallow depression worn by years of daily use. He returns the small ceramic fish to its place, then takes up the ink stick, a compressed bar of pine soot, and hide glue, its face stamped with a small repeated cloud patterns, its edges worn smooth where his fingers have held it through many hundreds of evenings. He leans the ink stick against the whetstone and begins to grind. The motion is slow and circular, wrist loose, pressure even. The ink stick turning against the fine Juan surface with a sound between a whisper and a grace, low, consistent, rhythmic. He does not think while he grinds. There is nothing to think about, only the motion, only the sound, only the ink darkening gradually in the stone's depression, gray at first, then deeper gray, then the dense black that comes when the grinding has been patient enough. The scent deepens with the ink, pine smoke, something mineral and older, like the stone itself, releasing something it has been holding. He grinds until the ink pools correctly at the stone's lower edge. Then he lays the stick across the inkstone to rest. The lamp flame stands perfectly still. In the brazier, the new charcoal has caught and the room has warmed evenly. Snow gathers along the curved edges of the gray ceramic roof tiles above. He selects the wolf hair brush from the rest, firm and pointed, its bamboo handle balanced exactly right in the hand. He smooths a sheet of mulberry paper flat against the writing surface with the heel of his hand. He draws the tip slowly through the pooled ink. The first character comes down in the form of rain, benevolence, simple in its two-stroke, endlessly adjustable in its expression, depending on the steadiness of the hand, the weight of the ink, the patience of the pause before beginning. He writes it slowly. The entry stroke, deliberate, a pause at the turn, then a second stroke, longer, opening outward and down. The brush lifts clean. The ink glistens on the pale paper. Catching the amber oil lamp glows on its wet surface, and then settles to its true black. He writes the second character, the third. He is copying a passage from the Analects of Confucius, a text he has known since boyhood. Its sentences part of the inner furniture of his mind, as familiar as the shape of this study or the weight of this brush. Each character receives its own pause, before and after. A moment of preparation, a moment of observation. Between strokes, the room exists in its own quiet way. The lamp burning steady, the snow lying quietly across the grey ceramic roof tiles beyond the window, the brazier breathing its even warmth. He pauses after the sixth character and rests the brush across the inkstone edge. He looks at what he has written. Each character slightly different from the others, as they always are. Ren, benevolence, opens slightly differently in lamplight than it does by daylight. He has noticed this for many years and has never entirely decided why. He takes up the brush again. By the time he reaches the final character of the passage, his breath has slowed to the rhythm of the brush movement, a rhythm he did not choose and cannot quite name, but recognize from long practice. He puts the brush down. The completed column rests on the pale paper. The lamp flame does not waver. Outside, snow waits on the grey ceramic roof tiles in its patient, soundless way. When the second sheet is complete and drying beside the first, he turns his attention to the brazier, the clay teapot, small and glazed. Its surface, dark from years of use, sits on a low stone slab beside the brazier iron frame. He fills it from the ceramic water vessel on the lower shelf, the water pouring with a low, contained sound. He lowers the pot onto the trivet over the coals. He waits. Tang Dynasty tea requires patience. He does not stand over it. He sits back on his cushion and allows his hand to rest in his lap and watches the brazier low amber light from a comfortable distance. The room is warm now. The amber oil lamp glow on the writing table falls steadily across the drying sheets of calligraphy and across the inkstone with its pooled ink still dark and usable. He has time. There are no further obligations tonight. The clay teapot sits on the trivet. The first sign is warmth, rising from the narrow spout. Then, the very first movement inside the pot. Small bubbles, no longer than fish eyes, rising in ones and twos. Not ready yet. The scholar watch. The room is very still. Then the second stage arrives. Bubbles rising in a continuous stream. The water beginning to murmur to itself. He opens the small ceramic jar on the shelf beside the cup. Inside, a compressed stick of tea cake from Sichuan. Its scent earthy and deep, even before it touches water. A careful piece breaks free with the iron tool. A clean break, not a rough break. He drops the piece into the waiting cup and pours in a slow, controlled arc. Steams rises. The tea cake piece breaks apart in the hot water, unfurling slowly. The color of the liquid changes. First, pale, then amber, then a deep warm brown. The smell fills the study, earthy, faintly sweet. The compressed warmth of autumn hillsides arriving in the middle of winter. The scholar holds the celadon cup in both hands, warm against his palms. He sips once. The warmth travels through him and settles quietly in his chest. A second sip. He lowers the cup to the table's edge. There is no hurry for the rest of the cup. He puts the cup down and simply listens. The evening has reached the hour when Chang'an sounds have mostly retired. From somewhere in the lane, beyond the compound wall, distant but distinct, comes the measured report of the ward watchman's wooden clapper. Two pieces of hardwood struck together. A brief silence. Then again, farther away now. Moving through the lanes at his patient and hurried pace, circling the ward as he does every night, telling the sleeping residents of Chang'an by his presence and his timing that all is well, that the curfew holds, and the night contains nothing requiring waking. The scholar listens as the clapper moves away, growing smaller, until the sound is barely sound at all. Only the faint memory of hardwood that his ears hold for a moment, longer than it was actually present. Then silence. The deep, complete silence of a winter night in the capital city, Chang'an. A million people, all quiet. A vast white weight of snow on tile and stone, wall and tree, holding everything in place. Then, much later, from the south of the city, where a monastery stands on a low rise above the rooftop, a single bronze bell tone, deep, rounded. arriving through the cold night air with a strange clarity. The tone stretches outward, expands, then begins its slow decline, diminishing the way ripples decline on still water. Each ring wider and thinner until the sound can no longer be heard, and only its absence remains. Outside the paper window, snow is still falling. He can see its motion in the narrow gap left at the window's edge, a thin column of visible cold air, blue-gray in the darkness, with flakes crossing it in their unhurried way. Snow presses quietly on the curved gray ceramic roof tiles above. It has been falling for hours now. The cylinder cup has grown cool. He lifts it once more, holds it a moment longer, then rests it on the table edge. The room holds everything the evening has made. 2 completed sheets of calligraphy drying on the writing surface. The inkstone with its subtle pool of black. The spent teapot cooling on its trivet. The amber oil lamp glow on the writing surface falls across all of it, with the uncomplicated warmth of fire doing what fire has always done. The scholar does not press the evening forward. There is nothing left to press. The ward is sealed, the watchman is gone, the bell has faded. Only the snow remains, rest on the gray ceramic roof tiles above, gathering along each curved edge in its patient way. He closes his eyes for a moment. The brazier breathes its slow, even warmth. The room is still. The scholar remains where he is, on the cushion mat, hands resting. The familiar objects of the study are present at the edge of his awareness: the brush rust, the waterfish, the inkstone, each in its place like the words of a passage he no longer needs to consult, because it has passed from memory into something deeper. The plum tree is out in the cold, its branches bearing their careful lines of white with the patience of things that do not need to hold anything, that simply are what they are. The world is quiet. Between the sounds that have come and the sounds that will come later, there is only the compound, the lamp, and the snow. Snow still lies across the gray ceramic roof tiles above, soft and patient in the dark. He leans back slightly on his cushion. His hands rest in his lap. The day's work is done. The evening practice is done. The lamp frame stands small and amber beside the writing table. the last warm point in the room. Its light not quite reaching the scroll on the upper shelf, not quite touching the far wall. The room has grown smaller with the deepening hour, its corners softening into shadow. Snow traces every curved tile edge above in unbroken white. He does not move to extinguish the lamp yet. There is something right about letting it remain, burning quietly, doing what it does. In the room he has used for many evenings now, his shoulders have released into the cushion behind him. The world outside the scholar's compound has been still for a long time. The amber oil lamp glow rests on the writing table, steady and hurried. The small flame does not waver in the still air of the study. It simply burns, as it has been burning since the scholar lit it at the beginning of the evening, drawing warm amber light outward across the dust-worn surface, across the dry inkstone, across the empty brush rest. The glow settles in the room, warm and patient. Snow blankets each gray tile in the same quiet, patient way. The plum tree holds its careful white lines beyond the window. The brazier breathes its even warmth beside the table. The room is still. The flame burns in the quiet air, soft, still. Its amber light spreads across the clear writing surface, across the lacquer box that holds the evening's calligraphy, across the pale paper window, catching its warmth from the inside. The lamp glows in the silent study. And so the scholar sits quietly in the lamplight, the evening complete around him, the snow still gathering on the gray tiles above in its patient and unhurried way. The world we visited tonight is quiet now, and you are here again, in the comfort of your room. Your mind can rest, your body can relax. If you are already drifting into sleep, allow yourself to sink deeper. If you are still awake, simply listen to the quiet. Thank you for joining me at Soothe Quiet Sleep. I'll be here again soon to share another peaceful moment in time. But for now, sleep well. Good night.